on invading during the students, yeah. Cool, let's go. Let's get into it. Oh, I hope everybody's doing well today. Am I recording? Yes. But yeah, so today is day 2 of Late Nights with Da Vinci. And today we're going to be going over a little bit of leadership skills. Okay. So over the next, maybe 21 sessions, we're going to be doing a very in-depth training into, leadership and the laws of leadership. Okay. Now, probably actually won't be 21 days. It'll more or less be around, yeah, probably the next week or so. I'll probably break it down. I'll probably go through 3 of the laws, in this session and kind of, carry on going as we go on. But yeah, forgive me if I look a little bit tired today. Today's been a bit crazy with the business and stuff. But yeah, I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's been having a great day. I know I have. Today's been a very, it's been a very, productive day to say the least. But yeah, so, I'm going to be going through kind of the laws of leadership and some of the most important, laws that really are going to help you kind of level up your game when it comes to leadership and understanding what leadership is. Now, what is a leader? Now, a leader is somebody that people will follow. In very simple terms, that is what a leader is. A leader is, a person that people will follow. Now, when we come to the characteristics of a leader, now those things can range. See, if I ask you guys, like, what are the characteristics you'd want to see in a leader? Everyone would probably answer different things because everybody kind of wants different qualities in somebody that they want to be led by. Not everybody wants the same things from, a leader. Some people, will want loyalty more than, work ethic. Or some people will want work ethic more than, having somebody who's a committed leader. There's a lot of different qualities that a leader have. But what is, gonna be the kind of, what's the word? What's going to be the most important factors and rules to follow when it comes to leadership. Now, on my journey throughout my business, I've spent a lot of time really trying to level up my leadership because I realized that when it comes to all kind of rounds of life and parts of life, leadership is a fundamental part of it. Whether you want to accept it or not, leadership is just the most important thing. Being able to lead people, being able to have an idea that is worth following. Because that's what leadership is, having an ideal, having a way of thinking, having a way of life that is worth following. Whether it's religion, whether it's a company, whether it's, a kind of group of people that's, following a kind of way of thinking of life. you know, Leadership is what's going to be driving that. Leadership is what's going to allow things to grow. Like with Tesla, why do you think Tesla's got to the point that it's at? It's through leadership. Okay. Why do you think Apple, Microsoft have got to the stages that they're at? It's because of leadership. And you need to understand that in order to grow something to that kind of magnitude, you must also have those levels of leadership, or thus you won't get to, any kind of level of magnitude. So if we're talking about, the Golden Dynasty, for example, the only way that it was able to get to the point it was at from when it first launched is through leadership. It had to have been led by people, for example, because obviously the members within it are students. They have to be led by somebody. And without leadership to drive it, it would never have got anywhere. Hence, I spent a lot of time reading books, multiple books to learn about influence, leadership, integrity, all of that good stuff in order to build it. Okay. Now, one of the first laws that is kind of important when it comes to leadership is going to be the law of the lid. Now, the law of the lid, okay, is essentially it determines a person's level of effectiveness, and the lower an individual's ability to lead, okay, the lower the lid on his potential. Okay. Now I'll say that again. So the lower an individual's ability is to lead, the lower the lower the lid on his potential. Okay. Now it's a little bit of a kind of mind fuck, but what it kind of means is if your ability to lead is lower, the potential on your lid is essentially lower. Okay. So the potential on the lid that's holding you down is lower. Because if your ability to lead is really high, now the lid that's holding you down isn't that hard to is it's harder to blow off because your potential is now smaller in a sense. So it's just like when you're, let's say, you've just learned to start swimming. Now, let's say you're racing from one end of the pool to the other. Okay, from one end of the pool to the other. When you first start out, you working on your technique, you working on, how often you're coming up for air is going to dramatically affect your speed and time that you're going to be able to get to the end. But let's say you get to Michael Phelps's level, there's very minimal things you can do to reach a higher potential, i.e. your lid. Okay. So you need to understand that if your current point in leadership isn't that high, that's a good thing because there's so much things you can do that's very easy to expand that lid. Okay. So if I share my screen and kind of show you how that works in a kind of graph type, scenario. Uh, cool. So if we go over to trading view, very comfortable land, and I draw an axis. Okay. And then we have, another axis. Now, let's say on this side, we have level of leadership. Okay. And on this side, we have effectiveness. Now, let's say right now your leadership level is at a 1, and then your effectiveness, actually no, whoops, my bad, it's not effectiveness on the bottom, it's desire to succeed, essentially. So let's say your desire to succeed and your drive to succeed is here in the middle, and your level of leadership is at like a 1. Okay, so this is at like a 5, this is at a 1. Okay, now first things first, if you want to increase your effectiveness, so imagine this green box in the middle is effectiveness. So the area. Okay, that spelling was a bit mad, but let's ignore that for now. So the middle area is effectiveness. Now, what's the easiest way, you guys can drop it in the chat, to increase your effectiveness right now by looking at the chart? Exactly. By increasing the level of leadership. Now, just by increasing it by, doubling it, by increasing it by one level to the next level, we've now doubled a whole area of effectiveness. However, if we go back to 1 and we increase this by 1, we've only increased this by a fraction in comparison to just moving our leadership up 1 level, we're doubling in size. Now, even if we expanded this by, 2 levels, which would be quite hard because the higher your desire to succeed is and your drive to succeed is, the harder it keeps it getting to increase it. It's harder to go from a 9 to a 10 than it is to go from a 1 to a 2, or even from a 1 to a 3. So this point is getting a lot harder. However, this point is going to be a lot easier. So even if we increase this all the way to here, all we got to do is go up 2 levels, and this effectiveness is still so much bigger. So leveling up your leadership will automatically take your effectiveness up to so much more. Even if your desire to succeed is only a 2, look how much effectiveness you still have. Now, if we take our level of leadership back down to a 1 and take this all the way to a 10, we're only left with that. So you got to realize that leadership is what's going to allow you to get to that level of effectiveness, because being able to lead is so much more than just having people that are following. You're able to be a lot more effective by utilizing everybody's skills because you can lead multiple groups effectively. Now, the next law, that is the one that's probably, in my opinion, the most important by far. Now, that's the law of influence. Okay. So the law of influence is talking about how with influence automatically comes leadership. Okay. Now think about it like this. In the modern times, it's more about like Instagram influencer. Think about it like that. So they have influence, right? Now, by default, they have thousands of people following them, following what they do, following where they go to eat, following the clothes that they wear. So understand that when it comes to any kind of business, having a level of influence over the people that follow you is fundamental in order to lead. Without any influence, you cannot lead because your people won't listen to you. If you have no influence, then they won't follow. You must have influence. You must build influence. Now, how does one build influence? Now, that's through a number of things. A very easy way to build influence is by having rapport, building rapport with people. Okay. Building rapport with people, building a relationship with people, getting to know people, people thinking that caring about people. When you show people that you care about them, you automatically have a level of influence over them. When people love you, they automatically have a level of influence over you. However, when people don't love you, when you don't have a relationship with people, you risk becoming a manager. Your worst enemy, leader's worst enemy and worst nightmare is going into manager mode. Now, to stay out of manager mode and stay in phase one, essentially, rather than going into phase 4 or 5, you need to be in a point where you're constantly building relationships with your team, your followers, your company. Does that make sense? And why is that? Because when you're leading people, you're leading them and they are following you and you're going towards one common goal. When you are managing, you are not managing your goal. There is another goal that is, in play, and you are managing a group of people to achieve somebody else's goal. It's not your own goal that you're bringing people to. There is a target out there that you've been set and you're just trying to do it. I'm ready. So let's say it's, there's your supervisor or your leader or your CEO has set a target of getting this many sales for the month. And as a manager, you're just going to keep pushing people to get that done. Okay. You're not leading them to building a system, and you're going out there to help them get it done. That's leading, doing it together. Managing is, okay, cool, you do this, you do this, you do this. This is how we're going to do it. No, because when you do that, you lose influence because you're not influencing people to do so. You're telling them to do it. Does that make sense? You're just straight up telling them to do it. With leadership, you shouldn't need to tell people to do much. Yes, there'll be odd times where you'll tell people to do stuff, but very rarely will you need to do that. With leadership should come influence, and if the influence comes, you should be able to do things and people will follow. Influencers on Instagram do not tell people, come and eat here, come and wear this. No, influencers will post a place that they went to eat. People will ask and find out where it is and go and eat there. They'll go and try it out. Just like on TikTok, you saw the trend of like all of these, that these like patch of mojito things and the boxes with loads of different foods in it with pizza, burgers and stuff. And people tried it. Why? Because the influencer went there, they saw it, and then they jumped on the trend. When clothes get trendy, certain types of clothes, is because an influencer started wearing it, or companies got influencers to wear it because influencers are tend to be leaders by default, because with influence comes leadership. So you got to understand what the difference is between the two, because when you have leadership, you can get what you want and build relationships at the same time, and you're not making anybody do anything. They're doing it because they want to. Very big difference between the two. Now, law number 3 is understanding the process of leadership, understanding how leadership comes and how it builds. Okay, it's called the law of the process. Okay, so you gotta understand that leadership develops daily, not in one day. It develops daily, not in one day. You gotta realize that you got to build up your habits. You got to build up your priorities. And I know we got Dwight on this call, who is an absolute master at building daily habits and keeping track of things. And that's one key thing to increasing your leadership is building habits, building daily methods of operation. Okay, looking at your agenda. Okay, you need to have you know you need to understand what your daily agenda, your personal daily agenda looks like. What are your priorities? What's your passion? What's your abilities? Your relationships, your attitudes, your personal disciplines, your vision, and your influence. Okay, what are these? These different factors? How are you building them? How are you building your priorities? How are you prioritizing different things? Okay, how are you building your passion towards something? Your relationships. Are you building your relationships every day? Are you making new connections with different people every single day? Just for the sake of building connections with people. You got to understand there's something to learn from different people, which is going to allow you to build up your leadership with different types of human beings. See, being able to lead one type of human being is one thing, but being able to, to work with and lead multiple different human beings is a different whole ballgame. Okay. Are you developing your personal discipline? Your discipline to set a task, get it done, to refrain from doing stupid things, from refraining from wasting time. Are you building up that discipline daily? Are you practicing, your discipline? Are you getting better at that? Because discipline, no matter what you're in, no matter what industry you're in, is absolutely fundamental. It's absolutely fundamental. And you have to understand that. You have to understand why it's fundamental and what it is that you need to be disciplined about. It's not just about, yeah, do you have discipline, but having applied discipline to the context of what it is you're doing. The If you're somebody who has a really fast metabolism and you don't put on weight, your discipline doesn't really need to be as much in watching what you eat, but it may be that you need to be more disciplined on staying healthy at the same time. That you don't need to diet, but you need to maintain a balanced diet. So you don't need to worry about eating too much. You need to worry about what it is that you're eating. Apply discipline, understanding in different scenarios. You might be in perfect health and you don't need to worry about what you're eating because your health is fine, but your discipline on maybe you're trying to quit smoking and you can't. Maybe you need to work on that kind of discipline. You have to understand where your discipline is needed and apply it there. Because think about it like this: if you don't care about something, automatically your discipline is fine in that. Before anybody started trading, they all thought, yeah, my trading discipline would be fine because they didn't care about it. But once the money's on the line, now they care about it. Now discipline slips up. You have to understand the applied discipline and the power of applied discipline. Working on your vision, working on your vision for the future, your plans for the future, where you're trying to go. Because as a leader, your vision needs to be on point. Your vision needs to be worthy of following. If your vision isn't worthy of following, no one will follow it. You need to be constantly working on your vision. Personally, I work on my vision every single day. I work on what I want to do, what I want to achieve. It changes. You can't have one set vision. Where human beings, we like change. Human beings like change by default. We don't like the same things throughout our lives. Just because we had the dream of, doing something one year, next year, a lot of people's dreams of what they want to do change. Just like when you're a child, you have a dream job. But as you get to your teenage years, that dream job changes. As you get to your adulthood, that dream job changes. You might have had a dream car when you were young, but that changes by the time you grow old because society adapts, social media changes, and so do our minds. So adapt your vision as that's growing. Constantly be adapting to your vision to what you truly are passionate about. And of course, developing your influence. Developing your influence by doing all of those things. Understanding, you know, what it is that you need to do to gain influence with people, build that influence with people, whether it's having more conversations with people, whether it's, going out with them, whether it's buying them food, or doing something, going out of your way to do something, whatever it may be to build relationships and rapport with someone in order to gain influence over a group, something you should be developing. Now, that's essentially, most of the stuff that I wanted to go through when it came to leadership. But one thing that I'm gonna go through as well is, my journey when it came to leadership and how that works, how that kind of went hand in hand. Now, with me, you have people that are, kind of natural born leaders, people say, people that are able to lead essentially, and they tend to be extroverts, people that are loud and confident. A lot of people will, kind of misjudge them for being leaders just because they're confident and they can talk to people. That doesn't mean you're a leader. See, a lot of people say that the first child is a leader. And yes, those first children tend to normally be, you know, leaders in a sense that they were the oldest, so they had younger siblings and stuff. But leadership is a lot more than that. I kind of felt like I was a leader and I didn't need to develop myself as a leader when I was, earlier on in my journey in the business. But I realized, and I thought that, developing leadership skills was easy. I thought that it was, kind of a cakewalk, and it's really hard to actually grasp the fact that there is a process to building leadership. And it's even harder to grasp for a lot of people that you have a lot of flaws, that there's things to work on. When somebody asks you, what are your strengths? There's a lot of things you can list. If you might not list them all because you don't want to come across cocky, but your list of strengths will always be bigger than your weaknesses. Human beings tend to, struggle on pointing out their weaknesses unless they're obviously, like insecure in a way where they feel like, a lot of things are their weaknesses. But, generally speaking, even me personally, if you ask me what my strengths are, I'll give you a lot of things. But when ask me what my weaknesses are, I'll struggle to think of them. Not because I'm arrogant, but because they just don't come to mind. And being able to take yourself and really think about what your weaknesses are alone, write them down and figure out how to work on them, or ask somebody, what are my weaknesses in this field, whether it's leadership, whether it's anything. Ask somebody, what are my weaknesses? Get them to tell you so you know what to work on, because they're not going to lie to you about it. Get somebody that you're close to that's not going to take the piss, and find out what your weaknesses are so you can work on them, so you can develop them. Because it's very important that you know what you need to work on. And at early points in my journey, when it came to building my team, I didn't realize what my weaknesses were, and I had so many. And I didn't realize what my weaknesses were until they started becoming a problem. So when I needed to essentially, you know, change is when I found out, okay, this is a problem. And on my journey upwards, as my leadership as my team kind of grew, which needed more leadership, I realized where I was lacking. And that's when I was forced into developing my leadership, because my leadership was lacking. And if I wanted to make sure that my team was growing and my influence was growing, I had to step up my leadership. Now, of course, as well, another, thing that was interesting when I read this book called, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, was I didn't realize that just because my desire to succeed was extremely high, that I wouldn't just get it done. Like, I felt like it's very easy to feel like, yeah, I really want to get this done. I'm gonna be able to lead. I'll do whatever it takes. Leadership isn't just about doing whatever it takes. You need to understand that, yeah, your team can be inspired by, or whoever you're leading will be inspired by your desire to succeed, but to be able to successfully build it and inspire people is what is, leadership is necessary for that. To be able to pour your vision into someone, that's leadership. That's not, just having drive to success. Or otherwise you'll be on that really thin cube, and you don't want to stay on that really thin line where, your leadership is low and, your desire to succeed is high, because your effectiveness will be so low and it will take you so much longer to achieve your dreams, because you're not expanding that effectiveness gap. And it's really important that you do. But anyways, I hope everybody enjoyed today's session on Late Nights with Da Vinci. We went through 3 of the laws of leadership. Tomorrow's session, we may be going over the next 3, or I might go over something different. And, we're going to be doing this Monday to Friday. So, Friday will be the final session for the week. There'll be, Saturday, Sunday break, and then we'll be back on Monday. Also, all of the sessions are uploaded onto YouTube the same night. So by midnight, the session will pretty much be uploaded. The first session is on the Golden Dynasties YouTube channel. And I tend to send the link. I send the link out into the Telegram channel as well. If you don't have the Telegram channel, it's t.me slash Omar Mia with 3 H's. So I'll send that into the chat. But yeah, that's essentially, the Telegram link to join my Telegram channel, where I will be sending out the links to the call and the YouTube channel. I won't be at soon, once the Telegram channel kind of keeps growing, I won't really be sending it out into any other chats. I'll just be sending it out into the Telegram channel. So if you don't want to miss out on the calls, then, I suggest, you just, tune into the Telegram channel so you can get all the notification. But yeah, I appreciate everybody jumping on. I hope everybody gained some value from the call. If you did, also drop me a follow on Instagram. It's omar.mia, and drop me a mention as well. It will be much appreciated. But yeah, on that note, I'll catch you guys all tomorrow, familia. Peace out.